the dead were all the crash crews and ambulance crews of the group. What is disappointing from our point of view is that the names are not recorded in the records. We can name about half of them, and that is all, which I think is sad. And of course, the 23rd December 1944 mission to Mayen. The 559th, flying in the low flight of the second box, was straggling, it has to be said, and German fighters hit them hard and very quickly shot down 4 of their number. One of the first to go down was Lieutenant Staub in the Mississippi Mudcat, seen here, which was flying her 150th mission that day. In addition to the 4 aircraft lost to enemy fighters, the 557th had Shirley D shot down by flak, and 2 others returned to base and would never fly again. It was the biggest loss of aircraft in a single day. But it didn't all go fighters. The 557th had Shirley D shot down by flak, and 2 others returned to base and would never fly again. It was the biggest loss of aircraft in a single day. But it didn't all go the Germans' way. Clyde Harkins, who again is with us here tonight, pleasure to meet him again, and his bombardier, Warren Butterfield, weren't happy on their first run. Despite what had gone before, they turned round and approached again, and their bombs fell squarely on the bridge. You can see the arrow showing the direct hit on the main railroad bridge. Excellent bombing. Our records and interest in missions the aircraft flew revealed that the 557th aircraft 5x5s, which many of you will remember Roger Ray's old ship, completed the war with 188 missions. 188 missions flown, not a single abort. A remarkable effort by her crew chief, Sergeant Corwin, and something he was justly proud of. Now, in my research, I think this is second only to the Flak Bait, which flew 202 missions with 322nd Bomb Group, and is preserved at the Air Space Museum of Washington. I had the honor of seeing it earlier this week. But not for 5x5s or any other 9th Air Force Marauders were they to come home. They were all blown up in Germany, and only Flak Bait survives as a 9th Air Force example. In England, the tail section of an old 323rd Bomb Group machine clings to existence, literally. It was recovered from scrap heap up near Liverpool and is in very poor condition. It is the biggest piece we have of a Marauder in England. But what of the 387th Bomb Group's Marauders? What survives of them? Well, yes, we have the propeller cuff, which is the largest piece we knew existed at that time. Fragments have been preserved from crash sites. But just recently I discovered another tangible piece of the 387th Marauder survives. And it's from this aeroplane, Captain Schober's AKP Dream. On the 15th of June, she was flown by Lieutenant McHenry, who's second from the left in this picture, who was the original co-pilot on the aircraft, and on the 15th of June, it was his first mission as a first pilot. A week before that mission, Dan Morse took this picture from the cockpit when KP's Dream was flying her 90th combat mission on the 8th of June. On the 15th of June, as I say, McHenry was flying her to the small village at Villers-Bocage, ahead of the British troops in Normandy. Flak took out the right engine, and Lieutenant McHenry headed back to England, again making for Friston on the south coast, the nearest airfield on the south coast. He was lined up on the airfield to make his approach, and when 3 miles off the coast, the second engine cut very quickly. The plane ditched in the channel, and only 2 of the gunners, Al Malash and Warren Shriver, managed to scramble clear. The rest of the crew drowned in the crash, unfortunately. And that would have been the end of KB's Dream forever. So for in 1991, a fishing trawler caught its nets on something. And when they hauled it in, it was the engines and propellers of AKP's Dream. Now sadly, I wasn't to hear about this until about 2 years ago, and in that time the engines have been scrapped. But fortunately, one of the propellers has now been mounted as a memorial at Shoreham Airport on the south coast of England to all Allied airmen lost at sea. And I've just completed a magazine article detailing the details, but they've got the propeller, they don't know what it came from, I do. And I've just completed that story, which will be published early next year. So that's the largest piece of a 387th Bomb Group Marauder that still survives. It's great to see Charlie Keller here tonight, and it's great to meet him again. Remember your Jeep, Charlie? Yeah, I haven't found it, but well, we've done the next best thing. A friend of mine who owns and flies a Spitfire on the airshow circuit in England, he lived in Ongar and he bought a Jeep. And he said to me, do you know a colour scheme, genuine colour scheme of a 387th Bomb Group Jeep that you can provide me? And using this picture and some others we had, we've recreated your Jeep. And he drives that around that Duxford airfield in England. All this research, which can be long and arduous, but very, very interesting to do, brought me to the notice of one of England's noted aviation historians and authors, Roger Freeman. And one night, he rang me up and was talking to me. He said, would you like to help write a book? I said, well, what's it going to take? He said, 6 months hard work. I spoke to my wife, because it's only fair, and she said, I said, I'm going to do it. Just like when she questioned after September the 11th, are you still going to Germany? Going to Germany. Am I still going to America? Yes. Anyway, I said yes, we would do this book. Well, 2.5 years later, we published it. The Mighty 8th War Diary. Marauders were in the 8th, of course, for a while, so I chose the first half of the book. 3 of us worked on it: Roger Freeman, the noted author, myself, and Vic Maslin, who sadly is no longer with us. It was extremely hard work. It's a day-by-day diary of the 8th Air Force and all its missions by all its groups. But it was a great pleasure to work on it. And it was a great eye-opener and helped me a great deal in how to carry out and further research and look for details. So I was very proud to take part of that. And when it was published, first time in 1982, it was the fastest selling aviation book in England. Sadly, I did it for a fee and not royalties. Never mind. Since that time, I've amused myself writing it, as Bert says, aviation articles. I like doing articles because it does give you variety. To date, I've done 2 on the 387th Bomb Group Marauders. Copies were in the foyer earlier in the week, which we brought over. One I entitled 188 Not Out, which was the story of Roger Ray's 5 of the 5s. And the other one was the story of Shooting In, the 556th aeroplane, which the aeroplane at Dayton now wears those markings, so it was an apt title. And so early next year, probably February time, the story of AKP's Dream will appear. And I suppose just to even it up, I've got to do a story on a 559th ship now. I'll get to work on it. This is my office. It's North Weald Airfield, as Bert mentioned. He stole half my talk, you know. By accident, I got the job of working there. A friend of mine ran the squadron on the airfield, and I used to work with Ford Motor Company, and I managed 3 departments for them, and we went into serious recession in about '93, and in '94 I was asked to close 2 of my departments, and I was obviously making myself redundant at the same time. I quite thought I'd get another job quite quickly, but things didn't quite work out. And there's a lot of interest in haunted airfields in England, and there are